Thank you, Kate. So next, it's my pleasure to introduce April Charlo. April is a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes of Montana. She's been studying the Salish language since she was 12 years of age. She holds an associate degree in Native American Studies and a bachelor's degree in elementary education, both from Salish Kootenai College. And in 2012, she graduated with a master's in educational leadership from the University of Montana. April is now the executive director of Nkwsm, which is the Salish and Pend Oreille Language Immersion School in Arlee, and she is tirelessly working to ensure that her language continues to be spoken. So please, April will be talking to us today on the current status of Nkwsm, and please join me in welcoming April Charlo.
I'm on. I have the, okay. I'm going to sit because this added weight is a bit much to stand around with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk for about 12 minutes. I'm going to set my timer right now. So, because, as Indians, we could, you give us 12 minutes, we'll take an hour and a half, So with this thing telling me, so I have about 12 minutes, and then I have a stepdaughter that we only get every other week, and so we're going to try to take our time with her today, and that's what's important. But I wanted to come and share with all of you the status of our school and what we're doing. And then after 12 minutes, you guys can ask me just a couple of questions, and I'm cutting you all off, you Indians, at 15 minutes. Okay? So think of your questions now and limit it. Just kidding. So Nkwsm is just up the road. It's about a half an hour up the road from here, and it started with, I was actually one of the members of the think tank for this thing, and we were hand selected. There was a small group of us of young people at the time, 15 years ago, that were really active in trying to learn our language because, for whatever reasons, and so they got us together, and they said, the result of us getting together is they wanted the possibility of starting an immersion school, and then it was so far-fetched to me. It really was. I was like, is that even possible? But I'm like, whatever, you guys are getting me free dinners and, get to learn some language, so of course I'll show up. And so I did that, but then I ended up leaving, and then sure enough, here comes this school that just started up. And from afar, so I've been a part of it, but still watching it. And so through the years, this is the 13th year that it's been in existence. And so where it's at now, well, and I guess I'll just kind of do some historical things about it. Where when it started with the idea was to have fluent speakers starting the school. So 2 fluent speakers, and they were in a one room, around like the size of this room, and they had 3 students. And over time, they started to get more and more students, and so what they thought, and it's, oh, hi. Oh, we have to meet after. Yeah. And so afterwards, and this is where I think things start getting interesting, where I start being analytical about the shape, where we're at today. And at that point, they thought, well, we're getting different ages, we're expanding, we need classrooms. And to me, that's interesting. And so they took our old bowling alley, where the school is located up in Arlee. They turned this they gave us the head start in the old bowling alley, but then we started doing renovations, and classrooms were made. And so they sectioned it off, like into classrooms. And so then the next step that they moved towards was they wanted to get certified teachers into the classroom, and then their idea was to get certified teachers and partner them with the fluent speakers. Well, the problem with that is that these classroom teachers weren't fluent. And I think the idea was to get those classroom teachers the language and get them immersed, and then at that point then we would have this active, immersive environment for our kids where we had classroom teachers who were speaking the language, plus the elders as references speaking the language, and therefore, at 13 years, we should have a 100% immersive environment. But that's not the case, because I think, well, I know what happened. What happened was is time is so short in the day. If you're a classroom teacher, you're not getting language instruction. And so then the teachers were not getting the language, so then they were not using the language, and so then we weren't getting 100% immersed environment. However, having one of the most, we have he's 86 years old today, and at the time, this was 13 years ago. Do the math, I did not major in math. I have the smart fiance. That's why you have a fiance that's a math guy. 13 years minus 86.
73.
Thank you. Wow, look at all you guys. So he was 73 at the time. And so what he did, what was amazing about, even though the kids were still producing a lot of, their major language was English, and they would get Salish and, it was just distributed just kind of unevenly, but they were taking them out on the land quite often. And so they were taking them out, and the 73-year-old elder who is well versed in our cultural knowledge and our traditions and in our plants and our medicinal plants, is he would take the kids out and he would teach them all these medicinal plants. And so that instruction was happening, which is amazing. We just needed that added language to go with. And so, but then there was, and just from my observation, it seemed like there was kind of this confusion over what we were trying to do. And this is just kind of my take on it, my personal views on it is I think we, as Indian people, we had our own education system and our own ways of teaching, or else we would have died a long time ago. We wouldn't have been able to survive if we didn't have our own educational system. We knew how to teach very effectively survival skills of how to make weapons, warrior stuff, kind of stuff. And, and it was never this hoarding information. Like if one hunter figured out how to make a tool better than his predecessor, then they would share that because it helped the community, kind of thing. And so now we have this education system that was impressed upon us, and so we're trying to, and it seems like we've been over the years convinced that now this educational system is the correct educational system. And so now we have a school that's saying, we're going to teach our language, we're going to teach our culture and our traditions. And now parents who've been convinced that, but I've been trained to think, or even brainwashed, if you care to go that far, I do, that the public education system is the only means of success for our people. That is, you get on that system, and that is the only way you're going to succeed, is if you go and you get your education, you get your degrees and everything like that. And I'm a product of that. My dad, who is now 77 years old, and was told to put all of it away. 77 years ago, he was told, you're not going to learn your language, you're not going to learn your culture, your traditions, anything like that. That's not what's going to be successful. And I understand during the time, it was either adapt to the changing world, or you wouldn't have been able to survive. It would have been even more poverty than that we were in at the time. And so then my dad did. Like, my dad is one of the rare people that he paid attention. He used his per capita to pay his own tuition to Loyola. Those kinds of things where he really believed in that his parents, guiding him to go that way so that he could provide for me in that way. And so here I am, just going to tell you my age, but maybe I'll just keep you guessing. And so here I am at this age where I have all these degrees, and thank you, Leora, for the introduction. But I'm still trying desperately to learn my language, my culture, my traditions, which I feel is who I am, the foundation of who I am. And attaining those degrees was very difficult. You know, not saying it wasn't a hop and a skip, but now it's like this fight going backwards to be like, okay, I have those degrees, and now if I would have gone back and I wish taken the time to learn my language and culture and traditions and really invested the amount of hours that I did into that. So now back to the school. So now we have all of these people parents in our community who are convinced that the school isn't going to offer their child a quality education. And I think, you know, when the doors opened, I think all of us, I think I did too, was like, man, we're going to have to be beating them off with sticks. You know, because that's what Indians do, we beat people up. Just kidding. I don't even know where that cliche came from. What does that even mean? Beat them off with sticks. I'm really, the English and cliche, it's where they come from. It's really interesting to me. So I thought that there would be a waiting list, you know? I thought that our school would be expanding. I thought we'd have like 3 or 4 schools on the reservation because our school is really spread out. We have, it takes an hour and a half to get through, starting on the reservation all the way to the top. And so I thought that we would have more kids wanting to come, but we're finding that belief that our school isn't going to get their kids where they think they should go because we believe that this education system, when we are starting to prove, you know, we have, you know, like other kids that go to immersion schools like Jesse, you know, where they're still able to go and get their college education. And we're still getting to that point where we're seeing our kids who have graduated from the 8th grade, 2003, where they have kids and they're doing really great. And we're seeing the products of that. And we just need to have more of that to have buy-in from the community that we are doing the right thing and that we are offering a quality education. And it may not look like the public school, but that we are, for sure, possibly, if not more, giving their child the quality education that they need to be a successful person in the world that they're entering into. I'm at 11:20. What am I going to say for 40 seconds? Well, I'll just open it up because we'll see if there's any questions. And then, any questions? All right, I shall keep talking. Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't really understand. Like, what is an immersion school? Like, how does that work? What does that mean?
Good question. So the idea of an immersion school. So our language loss. So we're down to a handful, like 5 speakers who are actively helping the survival of our Salish language. And so with immersion schools, they're kind of like these tanks of, it's a place where you can focus on the language. And so you want everyone to be able to speak the language, to be able, and so our school, so we have kids that come in, and our hope is that we will pass this language down to our kids so that they will be the next generation of speakers. That's the hope of this immersion school. But then we're not at 100% immersion still at this day, because now you have, you know, we just went, since I've been on in a year, I hired people and I've been saying your job security is if you're actively learning and you're actively using the language, then that is your job security. And it wasn't really specified like that in the past. And so even for myself, but then, you know, and then it becomes difficult for me because being an administrator, a brand new one, you know, like I'm not versed at all, I'm a rookie, and then just trying to hold the pieces together that, you know, like I basically threw a puzzle piece down and, you know, did this and then trying to put them all together and then still trying to find that language time to go in. Even got with almost one of the youngest speakers on the res thinking that would help me. Yeah. Having this baby. Any other questions? Did that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Well, it's not really a question, but an observation. But also, I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I work with the Native community. And but I think it's so important as a people to really delve into who we are as our culture, our language, because that's the essence of who we are in a generational, historically, genetically, it's embedded in us, and if we can't wake that up and move forward, we won't be able to heal for our people. We've got to be able to learn that so that they can live, and they live in us every day, and they want to express themselves. But we have to start grasping onto that way of thinking, and not. We have room now. We don't have to be in a linear way of thinking anymore. We can actually incorporate another way of learning. And when we do that and we connect, we disconnect to connect. When we do that, then people need to believe we're going to just throttle through like a rocket, and we're going to just be incredibly well-versed people and get ahead and heal and move forward for everyone. If they could have that vision, that's the biggest vision, is to just move forward, to connect, so we can hold on to our ancestors and communicate. It's at a deeper level than we think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Well, okay, this is it, Brooke. Here we go.
I just want to know, how, not that, I think we have this tendency to kind of commodify and quantify, language and people and stuff, and because I'm interested, how many kids are in the school now, and
Mm-hmm.
how many kids,
Sure.
have gone through the school, and you would consider, some level of, Salish speaking kids?
As of today, we have not produced a fluent speaker, and that's a huge problem. So with me coming in as a leadership and really looking at that, and I think all good intentions were in place, but putting that as a priority, where I'm like, if you're not actively using or learning the language, then this isn't an employment for you. Right now we have 27 kids. And the other thing is we have a preschool, and so we'll have parents who are totally fine with their kids coming up to preschool, maybe first grade or second grade, and then I think, and I wanted to do like a study on maybe the psychology department. Maybe our Mohawk friend will come and do that study. Is to figure out what is actually going on, because I'm just speculating, I'm theorizing here, And so why are parents pulling their kids? Why are they okay up to a certain point, but then pulling their kids, and then so we lose kids. So we have very few kids. So we have 27 students, and this year we're going to graduate 2 8th graders. And as you can tell, that's really not, it's really weird. And so we have 22 staff, and I think this is the first year where each staff member was hired who had language, either have taken classes or they're actively been through programs. Yeah, Brooke.
And this is another question. So, why is 8th grade the cutoff, and why is not high school a thing? And also, because language is generational, can you talk about these parents who are bringing in the kids and how they're learning the language? And
yeah, and then there's probably about 40% of the students are staff kids, and then and so the 8th grade, it just seems like that's all the capacity that we have for right now. I would like to see, our elder wants to see us go all the way, because there is this interesting, there's another study, is a shock that's happening in Freedom School, is the Mohawk School in New York that we just visited last weekend. There is a shock that happens after the kids leave the 8th grade, because we are kind of we're a nest. We really are, because we're different, we're family. And then they go into this public school where the teachers don't really have a connection with you. And you go from having I'm pretty much 100% native teachers to maybe there's one, and they're disconnected too. So it's really, we do need to think about what's happening for high school and keeping our kids through that time. But right now we just don't. If there's funding issues, and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Do you have a Title VII program?
The tribe does. We do. I had my Title VII to start out, but it also needs to be revamped and reworked.
So they can be an advocate for you.
We don't. Well, that's the thing is we don't even need certified teachers. That was just an option that was done. I'm at 19 minutes. I'm taking all of Jesse's time. Sorry, I gotta go. Thank you.